Oh, wait.
Welcome everyone to the late game, episode 35. My name is Lycan. With me, I have co-host In Control and Destiny, and our first guest of the evening. It's Fear Dragon. Fear Dragon, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking. Jeff, how you been?
Getting over a cold, but I am pretty much over it, so today is basically the best day ever.
Good, good. I love that feeling after a cold where you appreciate actually what it feels like to not have one. And then
That is right.
Then the day you get a cold, it's
I feel like being sick is like the best example of like. Oh shit! I think my Skype was lagging a little bit. Sorry. I feel like being sick is like an interesting like view of like how people acclimate to things. Because when you're sick, like the only thing you can think about is like, oh my god, if my throat wasn't sore, if my nose wasn't runny, like I would be so happy. And then like for a day or two afterwards, you are, and then after that, you don't care about it anymore.
Yep.
It's very true. It's the same thing as when a police officer gives you a warning for speeding as opposed to an actual ticket.
Yeah, sure.
The whole time you're like, well, I'm fucked. Oh god, it's gonna cost so much money. He comes over and goes, I'm gonna let you off with a warning. You're just like, like full body orgasms. Amazing.
Yeah. I think you can say similar things about money too. I always thought that was interesting. That's like the comparison that I use when you talk about going from having no money to having like a lot of money. People are like, oh my god, like how are you not like crazy like every single day of your life? Like you should be so happy that like people are rich or whatever. Right? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
people acclimate to things really fast. It's kind of like being sick and getting over it, and you don't think about it anymore. You know?
Yep.
Exactly right.
Steven, your Skype blows right now. You're frozen.
I think that guy you dissed on Passion Stone is coming after you, bro.
Yeah, you just got DDoS for saying that card games aren't a money sink.
Okay. Is my Skype really laggy?
Well, you're like frozen, and then you sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a new feature. Voice
Yeah, it could be a new feature
I
actually.
mean, knowing
Right.
Skype, yeah.
I'm gonna hang up on you and call you back, okay?
Fuck you, mate.
Oh, let me get rid of your screen. Oh, or he'll do that. So anyway, we got a lot to talk about today, guys. We were going to do that replay analysis with QXC. QXC is still going to come on. We're going to discuss the Liberator and the Adept, but we won't be doing it with replay because the replay that Dragon's admin sent me is actually a TVZ. I'm sure Liberators are probably used in that, but one of the focuses I wanted to go for was just those two units playing off each other, Adepts, Liberators, and then just how they play up in the TVP matchup. But maybe we'll go into that. We'll see how we're feeling. But we will bring QXC in to talk about Liberator, and then we have Jeff, who plays the beta religiously, to talk about the Adept from his point of view and the Liberator. So I'm sure you've seen it on Ladder. We're also going to talk about WCS Premier. The last match is going on right now. It's Xanster versus Firecake going on. Xanster was last up 2-0 before we kicked off the show. And we'll talk about upsets. Did it just end?
That's my dog this time, guys. We can't do the show without a dog.
Yeah.
Ferguson, shut your face. He'll be
There's
fine.
your mom joke somewhere in there, but I'm too high class now to make it because I'm a Hearthstone streamer and we adhere to a higher set of morals.
So Destiny is here despite the swirling icon in his face position. We do have him. What else is going on?
I can just picture Destiny. You know what I mean? I don't need to actually see him.
He's always here in our hearts.
He's a handsome motherfucker.
Thanks. I shaved yesterday and everything, trimmed up just for you guys.
I love you, man. Thank you. All right, and then we'll be talking about the Blizzard Summit. You've heard some things around, but I definitely wanted to get it on the show to talk about it. We have an outsider, Steven here. I want to know what his perception has been with all the feedback from Blizzard, with the feedback from the community as well. And we are going to talk about TOA, tournament organizers. They're teaming up to, kind of incentivize players to show up for events. Tournament organizer goes out of their way to schedule a show match, or you sign up for an event, you qualify, and then you screw the bracket up. So it's kind of their way. But we'll discuss that more in detail as we get into it. But first, let's kick it off with WCS Premier. So the last game to finish, 3-0 Xanster over Firecake. Jeff, do you see any shock there? Did you expect it to be a shutout like that?
I mean, it is ZVZ, but it's not like that's like a super coin flipping matchup. I think they're fairly evenly matched. I got to watch a lot of Xanster at Home Story Cup, and he really impressed me. Like he's for a guy that doesn't follow the European scene too terribly closely, but certainly closer than Rotterdam does. I can say that like he was not a guy I was considering as one of the absolute top dog European players. Whereas Firecake, I think you would, and I think deservedly so. Like, say what you want about the guy. Everyone knows he's a gigantic jerk, but he's very, very good. 3-0, that's very impressive, especially in a super important match right now. So Xanster's on the rise. He's one of the up-and-comers. I don't have any like detail. I didn't actually watch the series, but like I said, at Home Story Cup he played really well, so it's cool.
Yeah, Fear Dragon. All right, we're not going to go through every single matchup, but just from the last couple days of WCS, anything in particular stick out to you? Any particular upset?
I think there was one that I'm trying to remember what it was for WCS America.
Stardust?
I think it was, yeah, Neve versus Stardust. So, like, Stardust is in a really weird spot. Like, I've been seeing him in a lot more random American qualifiers or, like, weekly tournaments and stuff. And he's in this, like, really weird place where some games he'll look like, okay, yeah, it's Korean versus, you know, random foreigner number B or 23. And then other games, like, he'll just lose in really, really silly ways. I don't really know what to make of it. It's like, I think Stardust is not exactly the skill level he used to be. Like, I know he dropped a series to no regret, like some like IEM qualifier or something like a week or two ago. Lost to Neeb 3-2, and Neeb like played really well and everything, but that was kind of a standout one. This is personal bias, but I'm a huge Jon Snow fan, and I was really impressed with how he played Game 1 and Game 2 versus Polt, but he still got 3-0'd, so it's like, I guess in the end it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
In the end, it doesn't even matter, and you quoted Linkin Park. Good job.
I mean, I listen to it on a daily basis. Like,
You should.
I think most people do.
Soundtrack of our lives. Jeff, any
I mean,
big...
that makes sense because in that part of the world, like, don't you guys get all that music like 20 or 30 years later anyway?
Whoa.
Okay, I'm done.
He doesn't live in India, Destiny.
Why does...
Whoa, hey, you know what?
He thought you did.
Wait a second. Hold on. Did you think I lived in India or did you think I lived in Canada? Because for some reason, like, 25 people have asked me in the past 3 months if I lived in Canada.
No, I just assumed you lived in the United States.
Okay.
Right?
Nice save. He thought India.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. I've watched a lot of The Big Bang Theory, but he does not sound like the Indian dude
He thought you were
on that show. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's not, like, living in India now. I could be wrong, but... I'm sorry, it was a joke about the fact that a lot of countries around the world get our music, like, 20 or 30 years later. So, like, that's...
You're right, though. You're right. Whenever I go to India, I go into, like, a mall, and I'm like,
And you hear pop songs from, like, 20 years ago,
I'm
right?
in, like, 1997 right now, and it's 2015. It's a really, really surreal experience.
Okay.
So you're not totally wrong there.
That was beautiful. That was awesome. Jeff, from all the WCS the past couple days, anything in particular stick out to you? Any major upset that you were, kind of blown away with?
Yeah, I was just looking at that actually. I think Kane beating Huck is an interesting matchup in the sense that like both these guys obviously aren't the full-time pro gamer that they were, right? Like Huck has very clearly been traveling, doing a lot of casting actually, not just 1 or 2 events, but like kind of all of them lately, which is really cool for him. But it's kind of funny for me to see this because this is that transitional period that I fucking went through where it's like, yeah, if you're traveling that much and it's not even just that you're not playing the game at home literally because you're at the event. It's because all travel is like a day in front and a day after, and then the event itself. And in all those days, you're not practicing at all. And then when you get home, you're fucking tired as well. So it kind of cuts into your ability to practice there. And it's just this really detrimental thing. And we're kind of seeing that happen with Huck. Like he qualified for Premier, but then he's immediately out, or Challenger rather. But then he's immediately knocked out, and he's still a really good player, but he has these moments. And Kane's, kind of on the Kane says he's not practicing. He's only playing in WCS. I believe him, I think, for the most part. But I think any StarCraft pro on any level does not... very few of them cold turkey, just like, not playing at all. And then like, I'll show up for WCS and 3-2 Huck. I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's playing a little bit. But that's not to take away from his accomplishment. It's I think they're both kind of in this weird transitional period. So it's interesting.
I think to build on what In Control was saying, like, I agree. I've talked to some players, and, like, I was mentioning, like, oh, man, like, what do you think about the Kane, like, versus Huck thing? And some of them were saying, like, yeah, if you actually look at, like, some of the accounts that Kane's been playing on, he's actually been playing, like, hundreds of games this season. Like, he hasn't been cutting it cold turkey. And also, like, I don't know like how much of this is Kane's sort of like impression that he just tries to leave on everyone that he's not practicing very much, but he's always in the past also said that
Yeah,
he doesn't practice a lot. So like if there's someone you expect to do well on lower or minimal amounts of practice, it's probably Kane.
There's a few people like that. I think another big result too is Massa 3-0ing Bales. Bales has been kind of, I wouldn't say red hot, but like for the NA scene, kind of red hot in the sense that he's been doing very well, accomplishing for, you know, WCS and stuff like that. And Massa is one of those players too that is very good, but kind of ironic to the comment I just made, is one of those guys that like plays on Smurfs, but is not a like 5,000 games a season kind of guy, like full-time pro gamer. He's kind of like a weird, from what I know, by the way, I could be completely wrong, but he's like a kind of an interesting, just a good, talented, plays however much he feels, and then just wins against these really good players every once in a while. So for the NA scene, WCS, that kind of leaps out at me. And then for Europe, it was pretty much business as usual. Like I actually predicted Showtime to beat Naniway. We have to remember that Showtime was the one that knocked Naniway out the time before as well. Starbuck beating Bunny was a kind of big deal. Uthermal beating Elfie. That's like that. Elfie's the bigger name player, but Uthermal's the one that's been kind of getting more results lately. Elfie's a little bit on his way out, and I think probably the biggest upset was the Laser 3-0ing Wellmu. That's very surprising.
What about Xenocider going down to Hitman?
That was like, a beautiful series.
It was a good series, but like to be honest, you know, Xenocider just got done with high school and like, well, yeah, he's going off to college pretty soon here, but it's like, I wish I could tell you otherwise, but from what I gather as well, he's also one of those guys that's not necessarily cramming in the practice and traveling the world and doing like full time. He is pretty focused on making sure that he's got his real life in order, and and then he's playing StarCraft on the side. So for a student guy to make it 3-2, okay. And I have nobody knows Hitman's story. Nobody fucking knows that guy. So maybe he's like, well, I actually only have one hand, and I play suspended from the ceiling upside down. And it's like, wow, that's really impressive. But otherwise, I have no idea. But on the Xenocider side of things, I wish I could tell you Xenocider is going hard on StarCraft, but I don't get that sense.
Okay. I'm excited for the series in general. I mean, we get to see who Hitman is, assuming he doesn't just say, nah, I want to remain anonymous. I'll take the premiere
Has
money.
he never been seen?
No, there's no picture on his list.
Even during like Shoutcraft, I remember Shoutcraft America when Hitman was in there. Total Biscuit had images for everyone, and literally for Hitman, he just took the actual like the game cover of Hitman because he refused to provide any sort of image.
Cool. That'll be fun. I wonder why the intrigue.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like a 75-year-old man. It'll be awesome.
So Hitman, I mean, he made it through. And the best part about it.
Actually, I have a question then, and like it just occurred to me, like we don't know anything about Hitman. Does anyone know? Like, has anyone verified that he's even of legal age to play in WCS?
Yeah,
I know that's why they kept Arium out.
You have to provide the stuff before they'll let you compete once you qualify. So, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, they know for sure who he is, and they've probably seen a picture of him. So WCS holds the secret. They didn't show me or Nathanius it while we were there. Everyone was still kind of unsure of who Hitman is. But that's what's going to be awesome about WCS Premiere is that we're going to find out who he is. We're going to see the face. And a lot of people, Steven, you know, when you played StarCraft, and Jeff, I'm sure both of you have probably ran into Hitman at some point, right?
Oh, yeah, I played him a bunch of times, but I try not to. Yeah, exactly. Like Steve will have a better opinion of him
too. Like I fucking hate him. Fuck that guy.
That's what I hear from everybody. My experience, they're like, oh, he's such a cheeser, but in PvP, like everyone's such a cheeser anyways. So
right.
I have the normal relationship with the guy.
Yeah, I
look up to him as a father and a god.
But if he makes it anywhere in WCS, like expect to see the amount of like bitching about Protoss go up like 4 million fold on like subreddits. Like he's literally the only reason anybody knows who Hitman is because he cheats the fuck out of Starla in this series. It's the only recognition he's ever gotten, and he's really good at cheating. That's all he can do.
No.
If you can survive the early game with him, even if you have to gimp yourself, if you survive the early game with him, the late game, like I've played mid to late games against him that made me think that I got queued against like a Diamond or Mid Masters.
Nope, you should have seen the game.
NA player, and they just like had Hitman's name. Like
you missed the game, Steven. Like Hitman went macro most of the games he won for this that best of 5.
Oh, maybe he's gotten better at it then, because his macro.
That series made no sense though. It was like Xenocider won the game where he decided to cheese, and Hitman was winning the macro games. Like it was The exact opposite what I think 99.9% of people were thinking.
Everyone expected all in, all in, all in, all in, and even when Hitman was getting all in, he never tried to go for Starport, never tried to go for Dark Templar, never tried to just go for a one-base blink. He kept trying to get that Nexus down and to move on from there. So I feel like he had plans, and everyone expected cheese, so that probably was part of his strategy. Trip them up, go for something that they wouldn't expect, take it to the mid to the late game where they're not prepared for you, and that seems to be what it worked. So.
Be what it worked.
Be what it worked. Yeah, that. Damn it. So we're going into WCS Premier. The 32 people are there. They've qualified. They're in the league, and it's going to be kicking off. I don't know the date, but soon. We do have the dates. They were printed actually.
August 13th, I think.
There we go.
For what? Oh yeah.
WCS Premier. Yeah. I can just click on that link and maybe there's a date.
Well, the Poland one's in September, but yeah.
Yeah. So the finals round of 16, that'll be in Poland. And yeah, you're right, Ravi. August 13th, Group A kicks off. That'll be in North America, according to the flag. And it's going to be exciting. There are a lot of people that I'm looking forward to see playing. Moving on to the next topic, let's talk about the TOA. Ravi, what is the full name?
The Organizers Alliance Against Absent Athletes. I think that was a joke name that I came up with, and I just wanted to call it the Organizers Alliance, but I forgot to remove it from the Google Doc before I did, so...
Well,
it's now officially a part of the name.
I wanted the League of Extraordinary Tournament Organizers, or something like that. But,
yeah, I thought that was a little bit too narcissistic.
Obviously, it was not meant to be serious. But, Steven, did you get a chance to see that document, or do you know what we're talking about yet?
I briefly saw that, and I saw Kane's response, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with it.
All right, Ravi, give us the TLDR of what the alliance is.
All right, so basically it's a rule set that a bunch of organizers, for online tournaments, came up with to try and reduce the number of no-shows. So effectively, it's a temporary blacklist that players will get put on if they no-show for non-open bracket events. If you no-show for your your open bracket event, nobody cares. Whatever. You'll just be removed from the bracket. But if you have a show match or you have a league format or something that you're supposed to be playing in, and you don't show up without at least giving some sort of notification, I think it's 36 hours in advance, then you basically accumulate a strike. And it's a 3-strike system. After 3 strikes, you'll be put in what we're calling foreigner jail. Name pending if we decide to change it, but idea is then you are not allowed to play in any of the events that any of the organizers inside the organization are playing in. So I think that's one thing that for some reason people think it's literally everything. DreamHack, MSI, nobody else is. Those people are not involved in this. This is Base Trade TV, Lycan League, Alima League, my stuff, ASL, that kind of stuff. So it's just the organizers that are a part of this organization that's being enforced by.
Okay, so and what we decided on was 3 strikes, 9 months, right? After 9 months from the date you get a strike, that strike falls off, right?
Yeah, so that was a change. Initially we launched it with a strike would last for 3 months because we were afraid about being too strict. But then we launched, and when we announced everything, everyone was just saying this is way too lenient, and even players were saying the way that I look at this is I'm allowed to skip an event once a month, which is the exact opposite. Is not exactly a good mentality that we want to be telling players to do. We don't want them to be thinking that way. So we said, okay, we'll increase the amount of time a strike will last to 9 months. And the idea is when a strikes will eventually fall off, and if you get out of the foreigner jail after say 2 months, and you still have 3 strikes, you're not banned from or prohibited from playing at events. It's just that if you get another strike and you already have 3 strikes, you're going to be immediately put back into the temp ban list. It's a probation period effectively.
Yeah, and then the last thing is that when Ravi came to me with the idea, the thing that I worried about was you get those problem children, right? A lot of these people run tournaments regularly. So there are the people that always, there's the finals they've signed up for and then they don't show for the bracket or things like that. there are times that people deal with someone and they have a notion about them. Let's say, just for example, a Villo. He has a reputation that comes with him. There's the chance that an organizer could give him unfair treatment, where in another situation he would be courteous. Also, you have to take into account that tournaments fuck up, right? The organizers fuck up sometimes, and you don't want to have a player paying for what someone else did wrong. So we created a council, and basically what the council is, everyone's allowed to issue one strike, period, end of story, right? So someone screws up in your tournament, it's their first strike, you can give it to them, the end. That's like your one freebie to give. But after that, if you want to issue a strike to someone that already has one, the council has to see it. And the council will see, what goes on, and if they think that, okay, well, we want more information, they'll go to the player, they'll say, hey, tell us what happened, and they get both sides of the story. And this just prevents any kind of unfair, picking on someone, so that eventually they get banned for a long period of time. We don't want that. That's not the point of this. This is just to discourage people. But Steven, I'm actually very interested, as someone who's ran a tournament before and all that, and just watched the way the foreign scene operates. What are your thoughts on this initiative?
Honestly, I think it's way too weak. I think you should be way more fucking harsh. And I think you should go retroactive with it too. There are some repeat offenders that have just like fucked over. Major is like the first one that comes to mind. Like I almost think that like everything that he's done like has already amounted to what should almost be a perm ban from like all like local or like all like NA related kind of events or whatever. I don't know. That skipping out of tournaments or whatever is like really fucking aggravating, especially when people are putting on tournaments that are like region locked and shit. Like to skip out of shit like that and to fuck people. The Muslim has done it quite a bit too. I don't know as much about all of his stories, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree with the idea behind it. I think people should be punished for just totally like blowing shit off. I don't think that's cool.
So I think the thing about like trying to retroactively put it, like besides the whole concern about like, hey, a bunch of players crying like we didn't know kind of things, which is like maybe justifiable, maybe not, because I mean, really like you shouldn't be intentionally like it's the thing you shouldn't be doing anyways. But like I think it introduces like a bit of ambiguity, unless like you're legitimately looking and saying, oh, well, these people no-showed for like these events over the past 9 months. Like, I guess we'll give them all strikes now and like temp ban them right now. Like I think it becomes like a little bit weird in dealing with that.
Jeff, what are your thoughts?
For this kind of thing, like I think it's good that they're organized, and it's just like a natural step forward, I suppose. But like it didn't like the concept itself doesn't super blow me away, and that's not a positive or a negative, honestly. Like I said, overall, it's good that people are organizing and talking about, hey, if you disrespect our tournament and say you'll be somewhere and just aren't, it's good, yeah. Have more of a punishment, but this has been like a long time thing, and honestly, I feel like it's more in the past, it's been like self-governed and natural in the sense that like, hey, the Muslim or Major keeps not showing up, then you stop inviting him. And that should happen. And then if like smaller tournaments like Base Trade or, well, smaller than a DreamHack, I guess what I'm saying, or Fear Dragon stuff is, stop going to those guys. If they say, hey, I'd like to play, be like, no, man, you didn't show up the last 2 times I invited you. Fuck off. Like, you gotta. So that's what has happened in the past. If you're organizing to try to give it a little bit more of a heavy hand and like all right, you signed up. Now you have to be a semi-logical, sentient adult that says, hey, I can't show up if you don't show up, as opposed to just fucking blowing us off. Cool. Yeah, I mean, but it doesn't, like, when I say it doesn't blow me away, it's like...
It's nothing new, really,
no,
exactly.
It's not.
Yeah, it's just like...
It's just organized, so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is that, as a tournament organizer, it allows us to enforce those kind of, like, more ambiguous things. Like, for a show match, yeah, if I run a show match, I'm almost never, ever, ever going to invite Major because I can't expect him to actually show up. But if he, like, signs up in the open bracket for some sort of qualifier, like, this gives me that sort of potential to be like, actually, no, you're not allowed to sign up for the open bracket. It's like the difference between passively deciding not to invite those players versus being able to take an active stance against stopping them from being...
But like I said, there's nothing stopping you in the past whatsoever.
That's true.
If you said, hey, I saw you sign up for the open bracket, I actually don't want you in my tournament, he makes a thread on Reddit that says, hey, Fear Dragon's a fucking asshole, he called me a dick and he won't let me play in the tournament. You just simply respond to, yeah, the last 3 times I ran a tournament, you played 2 rounds, disappeared, sent my tournament into a 1-hour delay, and then just didn't show up, and I don't want that in there. No one's gonna be like, well, you don't have like an organization together, you don't have an official name with a graphic at the top of the header, so what right do you have?
I don't know. People might.
You know what, Destiny?
Someone
Here's the thing.
will, but
Here's the thing. Someone will, because it's the internet, so you're right. But when that person does say it, nobody gives a fuck, except the 3 other people on the internet. You're right. But what I'm trying to leverage here is I think the majority of people would understand your argument that it's your tournament. You either crowdfunded it or you're hosting with your own money, which you've done oftentimes in the past. And this guy's actually fucked you over. And you're not talking about a grand prize of $40,000. So, like, if you're like, hey, I don't want you to have a chance at winning my $100, I think most people are going to be pretty okay with the fact that you're upset. That, you know. So again, I'm not going to argue too much about this because at the end of the day, like I said, that was natural. This is organized, and organized in a perfect vacuum is the better version. So this is better. It's good. It's just when people are like, hey, what do you think about this? It's like, you know, it doesn't knock my socks off because it should have happened, and it does happen. And
Right.
It's now happening.
I get what you're saying. I think the one thing I would say just to that, if I were to look for the plus that comes from organizing, is just that it creates a little, so sort of some of the smaller tournaments, you know, like let's take the Lycan League, right? If someone were habitually screwing me over, there were like a couple people that just weren't coming to me or my show matches or something like that. To me, they could look at me and just say, oh, well, you know, you're small potatoes. I can do whatever I want. You need me more than I need you, that kind of thing. But then, you know, they're like, well, if I screw Lycan over 3 times, I don't get to participate in any of base trades qualifiers for the next 9 months, kind of thing.
It's the incentive. It's the heavy-handed thing. That's what I was saying.
All right. The one thing I do want to bring up next is there was the response, and I know that Kay made a joke response, but one thing I do want to say is I've been very adamant and open about wanting players to start unionizing for themselves, to protect themselves, because players get screwed over a lot, just like tournament organizers get screwed over. And I think it would be actually very smart if someone saw this and said, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the time that we move forward. And you get tournaments that are constantly like not paying people out in a reasonable amount of time. You get tournaments that are, you know, dicking over their players, treating them poorly, delaying things, last minute changes. I mean, we're talking without regard to, you know, logical, just this is the way things are kind of situations. You know, saying the same thing, like, hey, if a tournament organizer screws too many of us over, we blackball them for a certain amount. No one in our union will, you know, participate in their tournament, that kind of thing. Ravi, you know, we've been discussing this just with the feedback that's come from the post. Do you have any thoughts on, you know, the player rights, the player protections, things like that? Because remember, the council, that's for player protection, but obviously there are more things that can be done.
So I think the big thing that is going through my mind with that is I really want to start doing stuff like that. I want to actually make the, like, when I started this whole organization thing, I actually just wanted it to be a collaboration between organizers. I never thought of it as a union. I guess it makes sense that it is effectively a union, but I didn't really think of it like that. I really was just thinking like, okay, well, we have a bunch of organizers and we have a bunch of problems where, for example, like we'll constantly schedule events over each other because we don't communicate, and we plan our events and then we announce them. We're like, oh, well, fuck me. Like, I guess I scheduled it over this other person's. Like, now we're going to be competing for viewers. When if I had known about this like a week ago, I could have moved it 1 extra day. Like, so I actually was kind of organizing this together under that sort of thought process. And just like the idea that organizers can communicate with each other. And this was sort of like the one singular idea that I thought like, hey, you know, no shows are shitty. Let's take that issue and get it to bring a bunch of people together. So like I want to do a lot more with this. One of the things that I want to do is also like, and I know I've kind of brought this up with the organization, and I kind of agree with their consensus on it, that I want to do things like, hey, event organizers, like we want to create some sort of punishment also for the organizers in the organization who don't pay out players on time. Like that kind of thing would be awesome. I think that would be a really, really good thing to do. But I think right now the organization kind of like the consensus is let's do one thing right first before we start trying to save all of esports. Because like it's the idea of like overreaching right now. Let's like literally just get this one system in place and have it run for more than a day before we start creating like additional endeavors that we're trying to embark on.
Yep. All right, before we move on from this, I think that's a good summary. I think we answered a lot of, you know, just the, you know, misunderstandings. Steven, you want to give us any final thoughts on this?
He's like, hang on, let me pause my league game.
I'm not even playing League today. Fuck, my Skype proxy is being really shitty, so everything's laggy. No, I mean, it sounds good. I mean, there's not much more to input, right? Is it?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm not trying to skip out, but no, I mean, it sounds great. Something like this is probably been like a long time coming. There's been a lot of players, not a lot of players, but there's been a handful of players that have like been consistently shitty in regards to showing up for tournaments. And other organizers, Total Biscuit comes to mind, have complained about it in the past. So yeah.
And that was actually I think a big thing behind Ravi's initiative was Shoutcraft and the things that went down with that, right, Ravi?
Yeah, I mean that was like a final straw, basically. I had been thinking about this for a while, and I decided to take action after Shoutcraft announced it was going to basically stop.
All right, cool. We're going to move on now to the Blizzard Summit. I don't know how much Jeff has talked about this. I haven't seen a vlog come out or anything, so I'm excited to hear a little more of his thoughts. You know, I was there with him. We got to see a lot of different things that we can't talk about. We got to see some things that we can talk about. And then, you know, with Steven and Ravi here, if you guys want to help, just drive the discussion by asking questions about information you want to know that maybe we can or can't discuss. You know, we'll take it from there. But Jeff, what was your overall impression with the Blizzard Summit?
I think the long and short of it is I was just excited at the notion that Blizzard is reaching out, and one of the points that they talked about, which I believe I can say, is that they reached out at a time where it's not like a circle jerk of like, I mean, you know, hey, what's your ideas? And then, well, we're too far down development to actually implement anything or use it. It was more of a like, you know, pull for ideas, research, and I felt pretty cool about how they treated us very much so like people that could contribute, and they continuously said, and I felt like treated us that way as well, actions as well. So it was just nice to get in there and rub elbows with the people that are making this amazing game, and then get really excited about it. Obviously, I and nobody can talk about details. They're not building a nuclear bomb or something like that. Like it's not. I'm not about to sit here and be like, make sure your computer can run 3D graphic. You know, like we're not going crazy, but I love StarCraft, and there's definitely been some ups and downs for sure, and I feel like this is going to be one of the ups. Like I'm really positive and lit up on what they're talking about. And I actually think the single player looks really good, and I'm not a single player kind of guy, so I actually have to play through HOTS now because I completely skipped it so that I could not jump in randomly into the Legacy of the Void single player. But yeah, I can't go into too much detail as anyone cannot, but all I can say is I'm just very positive that it's awesome to see Blizzard listening to people, asking people actively, and then implementing on a lot of levels, and seeing the people behind this is really cool.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I know you can't talk about in detail, but we did get to see, and Blizzard has announced that this is something that's happening. So what did you think of Allied Commanders?
Did they announce Allied Commander?
Yeah.
They say what it was?
No, they just said that it was a new co-op mode, but they didn't go into detail. So just using non-descriptive words about what you actually did.
I like actually just the spirit behind those kind of things. Like I'm actually super stoked on Archon mode, and when I say that, I don't mean like I can't wait for me to dive in there. Like there's going to be times where I play it with people, and you know it's cool for streaming because you can like bring in people that sub or donate or whatever. Like there's just little things like that, but the overall philosophy behind this that I appreciate is they're like, okay, StarCraft's really fucking hard. Legacy of the Void's probably going to get more technical. We need to actually put in some serious work into making this game attractive for people that don't necessarily want to hear StarCraft is getting harder. So Archon mode, shared responsibility, multiplayer, it's going to be really fun in my opinion, but also potentially very challenging with what, you know, Red Bull's doing with it. Allied Commander, not getting into too much detail, but that's obviously also some form of co-op, shared responsibility, like social event. And I feel like with them cleaning up the UI and BattleNet, like all these things are kind of lending themselves towards something Steven was super high up on a while ago, but just making the game quite a bit better for people of all different shapes and sizes and skill, essentially. And I think the overall package of Legacy of the Void is going to be attractive to more people. Now, am I saying this and I'm like, guys, prepare yourselves, League of Legends, Dota, here comes StarCraft? No, because it's RTS, and it's not going to be that style of a game. And that was actually one of the things that was discussed, by the way, at the summit. They were like, guys, we're not trying to be the biggest game. We're not a quantity type of company. We're a quality. They have their quantity, obviously, or they had it with WoW. StarCraft is never going to be the 75 million person game. It's going to be they want it to be the best game you can buy. And fuck, man, I was drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm excited.
Yeah, oh man, It was a good time, and there were a lot of awesome things. Steven, you have any thoughts or questions just about the summit or anything like that?
Real fast, does my mic sound better now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. I think the video won't work until you restart. I'm not sure. I've tried restarting and starting mine, but it's not. But regardless. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it should be interesting. I know I don't know. I think they're having a few more of these summit things, right?
They said they want to do more, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely are. And yeah, that'll be. I don't know. It seems fun. It's hard to say because I don't know what you guys are NDA'd behind, or like what's allowed to be discussed, or like what questions I can even ask. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like as much.
So
hold
I have
on,
a question.
real quick.
Okay.
Say that question. I'm gonna just go ahead and restart the call. Give us 1 second, guys. Production quality. Uno, dos, tres.
Do you see me? My beautiful smiling face?
I don't see your beautiful smiley face, unfortunately.
How weird.
It never left my mind's eye.
I guess we'll just never get to see it. It's all right.
Oh, do you see everybody but me though?
Yep.
Yep.
Fuck you. Wow. I see you guys. If that matters.
I mean, that makes me happy, but.
All right. What was Ravi's
All right,
question?
yeah, go ahead, Ravi.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, so I know that there's been a heavy emphasis on, we got to see all these, like, cool things that they're planning for the future. Would you say that it was, like, mostly just new features, like, software features that their, like, Blizzard team has been working on or is going to be working on? Or did they show you, like, a lot of the plans, for example, of future WCS, like, things that aren't something that someone has to code up and, like, deploy?
No, it was
Battle.net?
everything. We met with Esports. We talked to them about current WCS format and what we could, we brainstormed ideas for the future and present. And when we talked to like every member of the StarCraft 2 team, and it's not just like a coding thing. It was like we saw how, I don't know. It was just really, it was comprehensive is the word I would say. Like we saw every aspect of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, we met every team. We discussed every aspect. I mean, if you can think about it right off the top of your head, we've probably discussed it, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, and like I guess then in that case, like, did you guys have any thoughts that you can talk about like what you thought about their direction with say like WCS or I guess any of those
No,
systems?
not specifics. We can just.
I could say,
Yeah.
not specifics like that, but I will say this: is that long term is their direction, right? They're not just thinking it's done right after Legacy of the Void launches. They're not dropping the ball. Like I said before, that team is fucking huge, right? Let's take aside from just the giant chunk, including the giant chunk that just is dedicated StarCraft development. They have almost 200 people that work on StarCraft on a regular basis. Now, some of those people are shared from other teams, but the StarCraft core team, being as big as it is staying 100% in StarCraft, not going to Heroes, not going to Hearthstone, StarCraft. And that is, yeah.
I know how snooty it is when it sounds like everyone's like, oh, I can't discuss, I'm NDA'd. But to be honest, like Blizzard is really renowned for their secrecy, so it was actually a really kind of monumental moment when they allowed us to even go in there and do this thing. And then also we signed an NDA where they could sue us for hundreds of millions of dollars. So when people are like, tell us more specifics, it's like, to be honest, like you're going to get a disappointing answer because everything that's been out publicly where they're like, Allied commanders at such and such event, and and we're able to say like we're really excited and the future's looking good, and like Lycan says it's long term and stuff like that. That's what we can say. We can't. There's no question you can ask where I then give you specifics that doesn't result in me disappearing in a black bag. So you can ask, and I'll just sound more snooty and elitist, and I'll be like,
yeah,
I know and you don't. Sorry.
I think the best thing is that exactly what Jeff's saying about the NDA and all that. Like the amount of information they trusted us with is why everyone is just so stuck. Hey, we got Destiny. Is why everyone is so stuck on the NDA, right? The shit they showed us was awesome. And one thing I can say is that when people talk about, well, I'll wait to see the proof and all that, they didn't just show us a PowerPoint project and say, hey, this is what we want to do. A lot of tangible, visuals were available.
This feels like a really big. Yeah, this is like when you realize that when you do this, you're digging yourself deeper and deeper in, right?
Yep, move it on.
All right, let's move it on. Yeah.
Do you not hear the fire alarm in your background, or?
Hold on. No,
I don't
there's
hear
there's
fire
no
alarm.
fire alarm.
I don't hear.
It sounds like there's a fire alarm with the batteries low, and it's beeping.
Oh,
like
that's what you're. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't
It's a
hear that.
smoke detector.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I heard it now.
Oh, that.
That's not bothering you at all?
No, I didn't notice
Tell
until you guys
someone
said
to hear the
something.
fire alarm behind you. They think of something very different than a beep every minute, Steven.
Well, it is. It's a fire alarm. That's what it is. It's a fire alarm. I mean,
It's
it's
a
not like.
smoke alarm, not a fire alarm.
Okay, it's not there just to detect smoke. It's usually there because it wants to know if your fucking house is on fire. Does it technically just detect smoke? Sure, but it's a fire alarm.
Get all ranty and yelly if you like, but when you see a fire alarm behind you, they're not thinking of a smoke alarm beeping every minute. I'm sorry. Maybe in Nebraska.
I mean, in Nebraska, we replaced the batteries in our smoke detectors because we don't want our houses burned down. But maybe you guys have that dirty esports insurance money. Is that part of the Blizzard NDA? They'll pay for your house if your fucking shit burns down. Is that? All right, what are we doing?
All right, so we're gonna move on. We need to kill a little more time before Kevin's gonna be ready. So one thing I do want to bring up is that I made a Team Luca post, and I haven't talked to any of these guys on here, so I'm not going to discuss like specifics about them being involved in it, but I am going to ask their opinions on it. Is that I really like the Home Story Cup format. I like the vibe. I like what Home Story Cup does, and I would really like something like that in North America. So I start fielding ideas of what we could do in North America, because I don't want to make it a carbon copy, right? As cool as Home Story Cup is, I think it would take away from Home Story Cup if I tried to do it, and I think it would make my event just nothing special, right? But there are people who are interested in it who could help make it a reality. And so I want to take the intimate feel, the casual feel, but then put some sort of twist on it. So without going into the details of what I thought yet, just on that idea alone, I'd like to kick it over to Fear Dragon and ask him what he thinks of doing something like that in North America, featuring North American players primarily.
So the initial thought that I had when you had talked about this was Home Story Cup features a lot of Europeans, and I think there are a lot more Europeans that are even well known by viewers than there are North Americans. Like when I start talking about North Americans, after like maybe 7 to like 12 of them, I start getting into like the semi-pro names that a lot of people won't recognize. Like that's not really the case when you start talking about a Home Story Cup. So I'm very wary about how many players like that are well known that people will be like, oh yeah, I really want to tune in for that like player from North America you're going to be able to get. I think there are a lot of like really cool players and everything, but a lot of them also are like high school kids like maybe freshman year, like sophomore years of college. Like they have like jobs, so like they're doing work. They're not like a lot of full-time people. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting getting all of those people there. And like, I don't know, it seems like a cool idea if you can pull it off, but I think that there's going to be a lot of hurdles to jump over.
All right, Jeff, your thoughts?
I mean, it's an awesome idea. I'm a little bit of a curmudgeon-y old esports man, so if I like, I could not count on either of my hands and my toes and my hairs in my head how many people are like, I'm planning on doing this thing in esports, and then it never fucking happens. So
Yeah.
as a friend and a person that is a close critic of everything you do, bold move, Cotton. Like you got like just saying, hey, we want to do a Home Story style event.
Basically, what Jeff is trying to say is, unless you're actually going to host this,
You're
on
fucked,
thing
yeah.
itself.
Yeah, you got to do it now. But it's like if you don't, you like the internet doesn't forget. You're gonna have Reddit threads and you're gonna. Yeah, so I don't know. I hope you're further down the line. I mean, you're not sharing details. That's cool. So, and you said you're talking to people. So maybe it will happen. That's good. Putting a lot of esports people in a house and playing some games together, it's a pretty good formula. Like the stuff that gets in the way of that is the production level. Like Take has really good cameras. He actually has like a little German army that he marches around and they control those cameras. And like if you can do that kind of stuff, if you can do that, cool. But Take also doesn't really make money on his events. They just kind of sell his brand and they make his company more legitimate. But the actual event itself is usually it's ran in the red. Like it's an expense. It's a cost to then market himself. So there's a lot of misconceptions about esports. People are like, well, I thought if I run an IGN event in Las Vegas, I'll make $70 million. No, you don't. You make about $30,000 and you spent $1 million or more. Like, that's esports. It's an investment. You have to spend money to make money later, and a lot of those times it doesn't happen. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the
when
2012 mentality.
right,
Well, we spent a whole bunch of money now. Maybe if IGN gets bought by someone else, they won't cut the company and kill it. Yeah, like, I
some
don't-
people are paying off though. Like ESL is doing really well. IEM at this point in time, and for a long time they were foot slogging it. Like they were having a tough time, but they fucking made it through the storm. So it is possible. And I don't think you're doing this to get rich, obviously. That's not where you do it. But announcing it early, tickling people's balls, and then like the execution's going to be tough. So the odds are stacked against you.
I hope that people didn't take the perception you did, because I thought when I posted it is that it's an idea that I want to do, and that I'm trying to get an idea of what people would want to see before I create a partnership deck to then send out. So
yeah, I don't think people are gonna like you. You didn't say coming September, 2016.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of like a filling the water. That's the
Yeah,
vibe.
you're not completely fucked, but I do think like if you say, hey, what do you think about this idea, and then like absolutely nothing comes of it, I do think you Sundanced it a little bit, where he's like, hey, you guys, how do you feel about $1 million prize pool? And then like it's like, well, that sounds pretty great, and it's like that was just a tweet, it's like, oh, okay, he's a weird idiot. Like esports is filled with them. People are just like, hey guys, I was thinking about starting a championship series 1v1 tournament league for $5 million. And you're like, that sounds fantastic. And you're like, cool. Well, it'll never happen, but I was just thinking about it. It's like, all right.
No, I get what you're saying. Steven, any thoughts on you?
This is something that I've been interested in for like a while. The biggest question that I've had is it possible to run an event like this and make money off of it, right? The two biggest, well, there's like, it seemed like there were three huge hurdles that you had to come up with. The first one was travel. In 2011 and 2012, it was really easy to get teams to ship players all over the world for fucking whatever. Like, people do that shit. Right, Jeff? Like, in, 2012, it seemed like every team was willing to fly people, like, everywhere. Like, the amount of money that was flying around for flying people to other countries was fucking crazy. That is definitely not the case so much anymore. Like, you can get star players flown around, but, like, the average, like, even your average, like, A-line player doesn't seem like people are as quick to, like, just ship them off, on a $1,500 plane ticket. So travel is a big one. And if you're forcing players to pay to come to your event, I mean, you're cutting off pretty much every single Korean and, like, 99% of the Europeans. Although I guess if you just want to region lock it, that's okay. But even local travel, maybe, I don't know, that's... yeah, I don't know. The travel thing is big. If you're going to cover any travel, like, that's a huge expense that adds up really quickly. The second thing is production. Take TV has done a lot of tournaments. So Take has been able, Dennis has been able to, like, invest in, you could almost call it infrastructure in a way, right?
Yeah.
He's got his production crew, those cameras and the setup and everything they have. It's a lot of it is skill, like the technical know-how to be able to do it and run it. A lot of it is having the team that can work together and having everybody that can do it and run it all together and make it look nice and cohesive. And another thing is just the raw cost of all the equipment. Those cameras aren't cheap. The stands that those cameras are on aren't cheap. Having all the wiring set up and everything running smoothly and all the, like, that's a lot of money that he's dumped in and invested to build that production infrastructure that he has that works so well now.
Yep, I agree.
There's that. Yeah, there's that. Those are two things. And then the venue is another thing, too. Where would you host something like this?
So
go ahead.
I have three ideas. One is either a penthouse in Baltimore or Washington, D.C. And then the other is, if it's in the summer, like a condo in Ocean City, Maryland.
What are we talking for cost for this?
Cost for those that I've been looking at, ones that would like host to make it roomy enough for the kind of number of people that go to have a game room, a control room for the cameras and all that, and then just a regular relaxing room, as well as a place to cast and kitchen. I'm looking at between $1,500 and $2,500 for a week rental.
Okay. So you're looking at 15 to 2,500 there. What have you thought about in terms of production?
So the people that I've been talking to, they wouldn't just throw me a check of money. They would actually provide all the equipment and the crew. So that's
Wait, so you're getting a venue and the crew for production for $2,500 for a week?
No. So for the crew, that would be one of the sponsors for the event. Would be providing the crew, possibly some of the prize pool, and the professional production level equipment and the computers.
Are they giving you the crew, or do you have to find that on your own?
No, they would be bringing their own people. That's how they'd help. That would be their
seems
sponsorship.
Like a crazy good deal if you could actually get that.
So that's why I'm reaching out to get the ideas, because I need to create an actual good sponsorship deck for them to have something to work with.
And you would be region locking this essentially to only North American players?
I would highlight North American players. I haven't thought about Koreans, but I'd like to have a few Europeans there.
What are you looking at for prize pool?
Nothing insane. Like if I were to go, so that's all right. So we've got the idea now about the cup and just the idea of how we would feel. And it seems like there's a general consensus that yeah, a North American event like that would be cool. I've been thinking about different ways to do it. Am I just going to do a tournament with a few qualifiers, but mostly invites to get the people that I want to be there? Or do I invite a bunch of people and we set up, some kind of weird different tournament? Like maybe we have grudge matches, right? So one day it's just pure grudge matches, best of sevens between 10 different people, right? So maybe it's not as big of an invite list as a home story cup. Maybe it's not as big of a qualifier list, something like that. So we could just do it the regular 3-day tournament, or we could do, a 2-day tournament, smaller groups, and then like the day in the middle, the grudge matches. I'm taking different ideas on the format that I'd actually like to do.
Sure. The only reason I ask about prize pool is because that'll determine how much you have to pay in travel, right?
Right.
If it was a $10 million prize pool, getting Europeans to come over would be very easy. If it's a $10,000 prize pool, you're probably going to be paying travel for almost anybody that you bring over.
Right. And I think the lack of if I can get away with not having to put so much into production costs myself, that frees up a lot of opportunity to maybe crowdfund if I need to, or go through other smaller sponsors, that aren't the title sponsor to help mitigate the travel costs.
That sounds like if I were just hearing this, like that sponsor that you are talking about sounds too good to be true. Like I'm like highly skeptical of that because that sounds like a $5,000 to $10,000 sponsorship. Like not even looking at cash. Like if somebody, or maybe more, somebody's actually willing to provide all of the camera crew, all of the people that work on the getting all the scenes and everything set up, and the different monitors and everything set up, like all of that equipment, all of the technical know-how, and all of the team to do it, and then work it for you, and then actually to do that for free, that's like ridiculous. Like that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, well,
I think.
Well, I want you guys to be involved in it, so I'll talk to you guys offline more about that. But I wanted to feel that kill some time.
Well, now it's gonna be super expensive. Jesus.
$20,000 a piece, right?
Yep.
Wow.
But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to field your things out. Ravi, any final thoughts on just the idea? Anything that you think from your end you'd like to see, because you do work a lot with North American talent?
I mean, I could talk about like North American players that I would like to show up. I already kind of voiced my opinion. Like, I think there's like small other random things in addition to all the things that In Control and Destiny talked about, like scheduling and trying to get like a good date where players will actually be able to fly out. Like, it seems like a small deal, but if you, for example, you want to do a 3-day event, then players like in high school and college are gonna have to like miss classes and stuff because again, these aren't full-time players. Like, they have to go ask for permission from their parents to go do stuff. So like, besides all that, I think it's like going to be you're going to hit a lot of obstacles, and I would really talk with Base Trade, because they're doing their first live event, and I think that you might be able to learn a lot from them. Like, I know that you're like talking about like the penthouse and everything. And I think that's really cool, and I don't know like the extent that this like sponsorship would give you like the PCs and everything else, and then like you also have to worry about like internet for all of these PCs, and like there's so many other things like there. I don't know, like to me, the idea of booking out like a PC gaming cafe seems really, really smart, but I don't know. I don't have enough information to like really make too much judgment calls, and also I've never run an offline event, so probably not the best person to ask.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys for the input on that. Just to clarify some things that I'm seeing in chat, this is not region locked completely. I do want to have some Europeans, maybe some Koreans. That's unsure yet. That's still to be decided. I was actually thinking if since this would get In Control and Steven here, maybe we could do it.
Why do you call him In Control?
As I said it, I swap both. Sometimes I call him Jeff. Sometimes I call you Destiny. It happens.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
But I was thinking maybe timing it with the 100th episode of the late game, so that we could do like a live episode the day before everything kicks off, kind of thing.
Stay away from timetables.
Yeah, that's a good
65,
point.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds
weeks
interesting.
to assemble an offline event.
Right.
That sounds like a good idea, but I would like if you were doing an offline event is a really huge deal. I would not try to like restrict it based on that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
What's Rifkin's name? Oh, it's Graham, isn't it?
Yeah.
Graham.
At the very least, we could do a live
Last
one.
name is Crackers.
It is.
And then we could do, what do you call it? Waterboarding that Steven brought up.
That'd be great.
Oh, dude, I'll do it if you can set it up.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will. I'll do it. 1,000,000%. I'm committing right
Are you
here.
trying to do the players?
What?
No, not
What are you
players,
trying
each
to do
other.
the players?
I always said that I thought it would be interesting.
That kind of waterboarding.
Yeah.
Have him waterboarded.
No, if you lose, you get waterboarded.
That could be part of your that could be part of your fundraising. If you put that as like a goal or whatever, I'll do it. If you can get like some professional to do it.
I know people who know how to waterboard, so if we want to go
Everyone
that
knows how to
road.
waterboard. To be
That's not
waterboard.
even true. It has to be somebody that can really do it. Because if I do it and it's like not an official guy, and like I end up doing fine, like people will be like, oh well, it's just fucking it's because the guy didn't do it right.
I have former
On your back or inclined backwards, you put a wet rag over your face, and someone pours water onto the wet rag.
Yeah, but people argue that the thickness of the towels is really important. The specific incline can be really important. How much water you pour and in what spurts can be really important. Like there
You
is
know what? If we get there, let's experiment. We'll do the different forms of waterboarding. Steven will find our sweet spot.
Well,
He comes out, he's like, all right, that was definitely the most terrifying. Okay. Wow, I thought I was drowning. Do it again. All right, just a little bit further back.
oh man, I know a few SEER school instructors, so if you need to have a professional do it, I've got someone that can do it.
That could be part of your Kickstarter goals, all right? If you reach a certain amount.
Yes, even waterboarded. There can be some fun
genuinely
artwork for
interested in
it.
how many people would pay for this?
God.
I think like we just need to get like Anita Sarkeesian to tweet out that you're getting waterboarded and she wants to see it, and then
She can do
we'll
it.
be
That'd
good.
be amazing.
I don't think so.
All right, so we're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to have the man, the myth, the legend, QXC coming on. We're going to discuss Adepts and Liberators and all that stuff. So, Fear Dragon, though, before we go ahead and give your shout-outs and say where people can find you and what you have going on.
Fear Dragon 64 on everything, and yeah, I'm doing a tournament for something that I do called NA Ladder Heroes, and that's going to be this Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and you guys should tune in because
You
I had
better
exactly.
show up, players.
Yeah, otherwise I'll give you a strike, and then you can only get 2 more before I ban you from events.
Strike. Awesome. And to answer the question in the chat, North, any kind of like natural, basically I'm going to go by WCS rules. So I guess, Polt, Violet, and Jaedong will all be allowed to participate as North Americans if I don't just decide to invite them and do a qualifier. So anyway, we will be back in 3 minutes. Talk to you guys soon.